Hello everyone and welcome back to Bitwig Studio and Music Production. This is lesson 5.74, and in this lesson I just want to talk about one way that you can try to learn FM synthesis a little bit better, or at least wrap your head around what's going on. Now, at this point, there's really not much else I can teach you about FM synthesis apart from saying just jump in there and see what you can come up with. But I know that's not incredibly helpful, and a lot of people are tempted at this point to kind of go online, take a look at people programming things in FM synthesizers, and follow along with what they do. That may be helpful to some of you, but to me, learning that never really worked out well. What I did, which again sounds kind of similar, but really it isn't, is I would load up presets inside of FM synthesizers and I'd look at like the modulation matrix and look at the ratios and try to wrap my head around exactly the kind of setup that they came up with, look at the different envelopes and get a feel for what was going on. The beautiful thing about the FM4 is that this is all so easy for us. We don't have to go into other pages or click to different views. It's all right here. So what I'd recommend for a lot of you, if you're just starting out trying to wrap your head around this, is go in here and load up some presets, and specifically look for presets that don't have any effects going on. So I'm just going to pull through here. Here's one. This is the accordion. And what I can see here is we have a fairly complex matrix going on, but I should be able to figure it out, and I can listen to the sound if I enable this. Okay, so nothing too fancy, but it still sounds kind of like an accordion. And if I wanted to deconstruct this, I'd probably go from right to left, actually. Take a look here at the pitch LFO, see, is this actually doing anything? If it is, it's very, very subtle. It doesn't actually look like it's doing anything to our signal at all. Okay, cool. So I know that this isn't operating, even though it was set to kind of a weird value in here. And now I can go in here and take a look at this matrix, and I can see that we have all of these turned on, meaning that these could all work as operators and as modulators if they wanted to. And we can see that one is being modulated by itself, one is being modulated by two, and one is also being modulated by noise. And so I could kind of change these settings around and start to hear what happens. So we can hear even just a few changes make big differences. And going off of what we talked about before, we can tell that we only have one carrier, and that's coming out of number one. So any additional modulation that's occurring is either going to be occurring to the carrier, or it will be modulation impacting a modulator like we see here. So here's number two, and we can see that two is being modulated by 3 and 4. And as I mentioned before, if this is turned down really low or off, these guys are not having any kind of effect at all. So this has to be turned on. And then we can evoke some additional frequency modulation. Notice that we have operator 3 here set to 17. However, 3 is not being controlled by anything, and the only place where 3 is actually making a difference is on to oscillator number 2. So we can go to 2, see 3 making an impact, and this is set to 17, so this is going to be like really, really high in the harmonic spectrum. So if I crank this way up, we would expect to hear a whole lot of high frequency content, but we're not. And you kind of wonder, why exactly is that? Well, let's kind of continue to deconstruct this further. Okay, so if I pull that up further, I am starting to hear a bit more. And also maybe it's because this modulation is down to 47.5%. That is really low when the other ones are 100. So if I bring this up, Okay, there are those additional buzzy harmonics that I was expecting to hear when I initially pulled in the patch. And then we could take this even a step further. We can see here we have operator 4. Operator 4 is being frequency modulated by 2, and it's being frequency modulated by itself as well. But we can hear how those changes are so relatively subtle, mainly because 4 is relying on there being content inside of 2. Okay, so if there's nothing happening in 2, even if I bust this all the way up, and if this is all the way down, it's not really going to have any impact at all. So we can load back in this accordion again, and hopefully those parameters and things are starting to make sense to you guys. It takes a long time to learn FM synthesis, but I do think if you deconstruct some presets, figure out kind of the algorithms that they're evoking, and if you see something and hear like a 17, but you're not hearing a whole lot of buzzy, high-frequency content, figure out why exactly that is, okay? And that's going to help you so much when it comes to making your own patches. We can also go through here and start looking and trying to figure out where exactly we're getting some things to change. And in this case, it has to do with velocity controls. So this is a velocity sensitive patch. And that's another cool thing, because if I play up and down the keyboard, we can actually look and see what's changing, right click it, and then figure it out. So that's very, very cool. I can kind of look to see if they said anything else. Nope, doesn't look like it. And just like that, I've completely deconstructed this patch, and I should be able to go in and make my own. So this is just an idea, a suggestion for you guys. It's something that I did towards the very beginning, but I haven't really done it recently because I just kind of enjoy experimenting on my own. But this will definitely help if you're looking to emulate a particular type of sound. It's the way to go. Remember that people will also stack tons of effects in here, which if you turn off all the effects, you might be surprised at what you hear. So consider doing that as well. Thank you so much for watching, and you will hear from me again in the next lesson. Take care.